In association with NASSCOM, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, My Startup TV brings the Tech Next show. Join us on the 1st and 15th of every month for inspiring stories, news and views. Each episode will feature a young, innovative and dynamic company. Tech Next show will be broadcasted on NASSCOM Hyderabad's YouTube channel. You can watch the program live on our Android app and across social media, or you can simply log on to www.mystartuptv.in.
Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I'm your host Abhishek. NASSCOM AP and Telangana, in association with My Startup TV, brings you the special show that showcases inspiring stories, news and views. This show is broadcasted on the 1st and 15th of every month. The program is broadcasted live on My Startup TV Android app, which is available on Google Play Store. This episode is on geospatial technology. Top headlines for today are: NASSCOM COE for IoT partners with Taiwan, India. White Hat Junior partners with NASSCOM for a course in AI. LG Equipment ties up with NASSCOM. Now the news in detail are: NASSCOM Center of Excellence for IoT has signed an intent of cooperation with Taiwan, India Artificial Intelligence Technology Innovation Research Center. This collaboration will help Indian tech startups source hardware components from Taiwan during prototype or production phases. EdTech platform White Hat Junior has partnered with NASSCOM Future Skills Prime to offer a course in AI. This is the first time that the EdTech company will reach out to undergraduates and executives. Air compressor manufacturer LG Equipment has partnered with NASSCOM to impart digital skills to its employees across the country. 1,000 employees will learn and improve their skills in different digital tools through this partnership. NASSCOM has urged the Government of India to help and support the engineering and ER&D industry towards making super innovation clusters in India. NASSCOM's Future Skills platform has helped train close to 380,000 candidates since its launch. The platform was launched with an initiative to upskill 40 lakh IT employees in technologies like AI, VR, automation, IoT, big data, 3D printing, etc. Thanks for watching.
Coming up next on the Tech Next show, we have a feature.
For the time in India, a drone successfully delivered medicines beyond visual range. The drone was built by an Indian startup. It delivered medicines from Vikarabad to government healthcare facility, which was 3 kilometers apart. So the technology that helps drones reach a destination is known as geospatial technology. This is the same technology that assists self-driving electric vehicles and GPS-enabled tracking devices. Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I am your host Aishwarya. I'm back with another episode of What's the Trend? So how does geospatial technology work? There are three aspects to geospatial technology that include geographic information systems, remote sensing, and global positioning systems. Geospatial collects, analyzes, and stores geographical appearance in an area as data. It may be climate, weather, otherwise it may be rivers or the land, and texture. If we combine all these, it is known as geospatial data, which showcases full-fledged geographical information related to a location on the earth. There are two types of geospatial data. The first is static and the other one is dynamic. Static landmarks such as large mountains and rivers do not undergo major changes. However, climate and soil texture witness periodical change and are thus dynamic. Till a few years ago, geospatial data was controlled by the government, but that has now changed. This has led to opportunities for private businesses, and startups have taken a lead in applying such information for commercial use. So why is it very important to liberalize geospatial data? Firstly, it enables the free flow of geospatial data information and private individuals, that is companies, can also collect, collate and also synthesize data for various benefits. It can be used in agriculture development, infrastructure development, economic enterprises, social engineering, waste management, city landscape management, as it is used to develop cities properly. Before, we used to depend on GPS, but now we have our own Indian regional navigation satellite system. We believe that our data is our strategic and military asset. This is how geospatial data is very important. Geospatial data combines particular location information as well as attribute information. Because of the privatization of geospatial data, agriculture would be benefit immensely. It also impacts a lot in horticulture development as it produces a micro-level assessment analysis at a preferable location. Now, all private companies can also use IRNSS data. The data also releases information related to weather. Lastly, it is also helping telemedicine sector in various ways. So now the final question that comes to our minds is, where does India stand in terms of geospatial technology? India is the hub for raw materials in terms of anything to do with geospatial technology. The raw material mainly comprises satellite imagery, whether it comes from satellites or drones. We cannot ignore the growth that ISRO has made in the past 4 to 5 years. We have two of the biggest satellite delivery vehicles, the PSLV and the GSLV. So we can say that India has been playing a tremendous role in launching smaller satellites that capture need-specific satellite images. Also, the government has made space and satellite one of its key areas for investment alongside Startup India and DRDO. So there is a huge scope for startups to grow in the geospatial sector and entrepreneurs building knowledge around it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
Next, we have a founder talk with Mr. Somnath Marthi.
Welcome viewers to another episode of Technic Show. I'm your host Major Sunil Shetty. NASCOM Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, in association with My Startup TV, brings you the Technic Show, a show that showcases inspiring stories, news, views. This story is broadcasted on the 1st and 15th of every month. Today on our Technic Show, we have with us Mr. Somnath Marthi, the Vice President, Defense, Aerospace and Geoscience at IIC Technologies. IIC Technologies provides geospatial solution and services for the acquisition, management, integration, and dissemination of geospatial data. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for this opportunity.
So, geospatial, is the next sunrise industry. Recently, we also saw how India's first drone helped in delivering of medicines beyond the visual range. And whether it is drones, whether it is self-driving cars, whether it is GPS, they're all one common link for them is the geospatial technology. And your company is into this space. Tell us about the company. What is IIC Technologies all about?
IIC Technologies is now about a 25-year-old company who've been in the services from the beginning to commence our map digitization and a few CAD services. And we slowly evolved and thereafter focused purely on geospatial sciences. Today, we actually provide solutions end-to-end on using GIS technologies on both on land, on marine, and aeronautics. So when I say that we have branched out into some unique offerings, and I would proudly say we are an purely Indian-grown multinational company, because our managing director, who came back from Carnegie Mellon in '93, we had a small tender for building the national cartographic database of our country, that is for Survey of India. And we won that against a stiff competition at that point in time. And we began our journey in 94 by actually making 250,000 scale maps for the National Mapping Agency. The second break we got was from our own Indian Navy in actually having to convert our portfolio of nautical charts into an electronic navigational chart database for India. That put us on a pedestal of actually on the marine globe today, where we serve more than about over 20 navies globally. So we started moving up the value chain, and we thought we should have a niche in what we are doing. And today we are known globally for our marine charting and related services.
So as a company, which started, when the modern technology or even the mindset to allow a private sector into something which was seen as sensitive, was there. What kind of challenges did you face when you started off?
As you must have realized in today's environment where we are in the current state, the map policy has been liberalized, where we have been out of the shackles of colonial era. The policies which were laid out during the British regime have still been continuing more or less till it was completely liberalized on 15th of February by our Prime Minister. Till then, for us to generate a product or acquire a data or make anything related to a spatial context, we have to go through a lot of permissions, sanctions, clearances, etc., for providing that particular service. So, with the evolution of technology and in the current age where we have 5G, immersive technologies, and so on and so forth, I think geospatial technology today, as you have said rightly, is a huge sunrise industry which would, serve our nation and also the globe in a huge way, because it is an underlying technology for every aspect of life. It's an all-encompassing technology. It has been set aside as a supporting technology, I would say, till today. But I think it's going to come to a mainstream offering where anything and everything, right from finance, banking to any other services, would have a geospatial link or a context around it.
That brings me to the next question. It's very good to talk about drones. It's very good to talk about self-driving cars, which are probably will take a couple of decades more before we get to see here.
Yeah.
And GPS. Okay, GPS become quite popular with logistic companies. As a company, as IIC, where are the areas do you use this, or tell us about the industries or areas that you work in which directly impact or help the common man?
We have been focusing largely on generating geospatial data, especially for countries outside of our country. We have specialized in some areas. For example, we worked in a big way for the United States Department of Transportation, wherein we get data that is flown. For example, last evening, the data comes in here and we actually generate some outputs and products and send it back in a turnaround time specified by under our contract. So from there on, we have started to actually, learn the trade, and at the same time realized that these technologies are very much in direct use for our country. And that is where about 8 to 10 years ago, we have invested in having our own aircraft and sensors. We kind of went into a backward integration of actually starting to acquire data until the finished product. So today we have the entire gamut of service available, right from consulting with an organization to what they require to getting them the finished product, managing it, maintaining it, and updating. Now, coming to your question of what segments we serve, we work largely with national mapping agencies. So base mapping is a huge offering of ours where we actually map huge areas of terrestrial land mapping using aerial photography, using technology called LiDAR, using ground acquisition methods, conventional methods, aerial methods, and creating several products. We serve the infrastructure segment, especially focusing on highways, on railroad, on irrigation, agriculture, and a few other applications which actually help directly in the economy.
When you talk about geospatial data, there are two types. One is the static, one is the dynamic, and kind of weather patterns fits into that. Given the impact of global warming that we are witnessing, what role will your company in particular and geospatial technology as such is playing in it and would play going forward?
So the country is actually witnessing a lot of natural calamities and even otherwise. So having several forms of data in a, let's call, for lack of better words, this data as geographical information. Now that is kind of made in such a manner where we are able to actually witness our past, forecast our future, understand the present, and actually make suitable geographic information that is readily available with layers of weather and other information coming from different sensors integrated in a particular way for us to be able to make the right short-time, mid-term, long-term predictions for helping us to avoid crisis, support the disaster measures and the policies laid out by our country. And such things are being now deployed, and such solutions are now coming to the fore now in our country.
As a geospatial technology, where do you see this going in next coming decade as a technology? And do you see more and more companies, especially startups, playing a role in it?
A very strong area for startups to come into this. For example, the game changer is the drone technology, which is coming in a huge way in, I would say, complementing the other technologies that are available, especially in the diversity of our country, to be able to actually bring in this technology. Today, there are schemes that have been launched even for land registry, where drone technology is being thought of to actually play a major significant role in doing land registry. So fueling the data economy, what is short in our country is data, geographic information. Even today, we don't have a high resolution or a large scale map of the entire country. We probably have on a 25,000 scale. What we really need to have is at least something like a 5 to 10,000 scale at the minimum. Now that itself is a huge opportunity. But thanks to the new policies, I think there are major flagship programs being conceived. And I think there is a strong role for startups and a strong role for technology to bring in, AI, ML, and all these technologies to the fore in implementing these solutions.
As startups, what kind of support they can get from you?
A little background on the geospatial technology by itself, which is quite, I would say, not a huge barrier. And I think there are many innovations that are coming to the fore from other technologies for them to be able to understand the aspect of geographic information for them to come in. And for example, any location-based service they are able to actually supply chain. Amazon today, as you brought out earlier, delivering of medicines, for example. So this, with their specialization being be able to fly a drone with a particular payload, the underlying technology for me to provide them the right geographic information, tagged rightly with all the right attribute data and other ancillary information for them to make a successful delivery. In all these areas, I think startups have already begun to play a major, they're picking their own spaces. There are lots of areas which they can come in with a small spark of an idea.
Skill is a big challenge. And as a company, are you able to find the right kind of talent? Because your industry is a sunrise industry, very at the very early stage, and probably I don't know. I'm just making a wild guess. Probably the engineering colleges or the or education institutions may not have a course that directly fits into the kind of work or the kind of the skill required by a company like yours, which are into spatial technology. Is that right? My understanding, and if yes,
Yeah, your understanding is perfectly right. This industry needs, I would seriously say, it has a potential of generating 1 million jobs in the next decade, or even in a lesser period of time. The right programs, upskilling, the base graduation, post-graduation programs, although they are out there, we have seen a huge gap from what is being taught today to what is actually required in the market. So IIC, we have taken an initiative about 15 years ago. We actually started an academy for skilling internally our own resources. For example, he comes from a survey background. We actually teach him to do a lot of things beyond what he has been taught and make him job ready. Similarly, for a graduate to be taught the science of photogrammetry, that is three-dimensional mapping, we take him on a program for about 3 months from any base degree he may have with arts and science, teach him just like you're taught in the army, the art of map making, its fundamentals, etc., all crashed into a 3-month program, and then we try and make him job ready. In the same breadth, we have also trained a lot of our clients using the same infrastructure to upskill them on their side. And today we have the academy running programs which are quite unique. We are probably one private company who are the only qualified company who are able to teach them marine surveys, hydrography, marine cartography. So all these kind of skills that are required, yes, there needs to be a lot of upskilling that is required. But there is, I think, an equal spread of available institutions and new academic programs that are being set up by several institutions who have, thought GIS as a huge opportunity, and it's happening as we speak.
that's good to hear. So finally, My Startup TV, the channel for startups and SMEs like yours. What are your thoughts? We carry your stories. We showcase a company like yours. What are your thoughts about a channel?
I think it's a wonderful initiative, Major Sunil, because I think we carry a very strong message to the people who are looking for which way to go, right from higher secondary or from a degree or even otherwise. With what is there today, there is so much of confusion prevailing in the minds of the young students on which way to nurture their career. And I think when you bring in different sectors and introduce them to the potential of each of those sectors, what they can offer, I think it's a huge platform for these young students and even decision makers too, for them to do the right things at the right time. And I think it's a wonderful initiative.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again on some of our panel talks.
Certainly. Thank you so much, and all the best. And thank you for providing IIC this opportunity.
Thank you.
Next, on the Tech Next show, we have a report.
Now, drones are delivering medicines from the sky, self-driven electric vehicles are the new buzz, and GPS tracking is used almost everywhere. And the technology behind all this is geospatial technology. Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I am your host Aishwarya. I'm back with another episode of What's the Trend? We use geospatial technology to collect, analyze and store geographic information. Different forms of geospatial technology include geographic information systems, remote sensing, global positioning systems and geofencing. According to Nilesh Maurya, Director of Think Ventures, with the startup ecosystem booming in terms of drones and EVs, geospatial technology can be the next big thing for startups to venture into, and even Government of India is also providing support for enhancing this technology. Listen in.
The most promising document that came out this year was the geospatial policy that the government has issued. More than any startup, the regulation built around it, it's very, very promising what government is saying, not just in terms of supporting startups or, getting infrastructure in place. It also speaks about getting talent into position. Because, if you have looked at these satellite imageries, they are just huge maps. And what do you do with those? Not many of us are accustomed to reading maps like that way. So, it's not just the infrastructure that comes around maps or something that the drone clicks from the top. It's more about, how do you read those information? How do you pull out that information to more meaningful use is something that is more necessary and more important as of now, since it's a sunrise sector. And yes, in my last, you can say 3-4 years of the startup experience, although my experience is almost over a decade old, but last 3-4 years I've seen tremendous growth in people doing location technology, doing geospatial, doing drones, and it's just the kind of growth that we have seen is phenomenal. And yes, of course there are challenges, but yes, the initial if I call them, the roots are coming out right.
This technology is going to be the crux for all kinds of sectors. Nilesh says that geospatial is somewhat like what data is today. Listen in.
Geospatial is something like what data is today. It's going to be used everywhere. We've seen its application being used into restaurant industry. We've seen its application being used in retail industry. People want to know where the footfall is larger. Then now when we speak about the whole pandemic game, bringing logistics into picture, the drone technologies, you have to explain these machines, where do they drop it? It's not like your normal courier guy that you can explain him aage se right le lena kind of a thing. It's more about, feeding these machines with information which is very, very critical, very, very last mile. And globally also, people like, companies like Walmart have been struggling with the last mile, what do you call the last mile delivery. That's one space where geospatial can just turn things on the table. So yes, and we've seen analysis around real estate building up. Our company, RS Matrices, is specializing into something you call that ESG analysis, which is again a very, very sunrise sector, because suddenly everyone is concerned about climate, everyone is concerned about how things are changing. So, when you look at things from the top, it gives you a very clear picture of how the climate movement has happened, how things have changed over 5 years, 10 years, whether the environment has just grown or whether the environment has just been destroyed by companies for the sake of profit. So yes, now with the investor movement coming in, we've seen ESG as one of the biggest sector playing out, especially with drone technology, logistics and another game. And then you have all the decisions that are coming out of retail space or anything that requires real estate kind of investment. It's very clear from the top what's going to happen.
India is also stepping up in the race towards adapting geospatial technology like GIS, GPS, and remote sensing in all industries and sectors. Startups are emerging in this segment, and there is still space for a lot of idea and innovation in the same.
India, just because of the startup push from the government and the policy coming in. See, the base, the raw material for this whole geospatial is the satellite imagery that comes out of, whether it comes out of drone, whether it comes out from the satellite on the top. And if you see the growth ISRO has made over last 3-4 years, we have two of the biggest satellite delivery vehicles, which is the PSLV and the GSLV, to launch it. And India has been playing a tremendous role in launching these smaller satellites, which capture image very specific to their need and send it back to the ground. So with India being the hub of the raw material, I'm sure there is a tremendous scope for our startup, and government itself has made, space and satellite as one of its critical areas for investment, even with Startup India, whether it's with DRDO. Everyone is so gung-ho about the whole thing. I feel India, if not in top 5, should be in top 10 in years to come, with the kind of growth that we are seeing and entrepreneurs building knowledge around it.
Geospatial is the game that is very new in the ecosystem and still has a lot of scope and potential to grow. So startups and budding entrepreneurs should look to tap into this untouched and flexible sector, which is definitely going to become a part of day-to-day functioning in the near future. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We have over 400 startups and MSME shows on our TV channel. Do check out. My Startup TV is now available on Google Play Store, so you can get all the latest news on startups and MSMEs on the move. You can also support us by subscribing to our TV channel, and do not forget to press the bell icon. You can follow us on Koo, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or visit our website www.mystartuptv.in. Thanks for watching.